Good morning, everyone. It's my pleasure to welcome to each one of you for this webinar. I'm Ajay Rathore, and I'm an MAS consultant with expertise in manufacturing execution system and manufacturing operations management, implementation, and consulting for discrete as well as for process industries for various sectors. I would like to introduce you all with today's co-host, Martijn Donkersloot, who is having a rich experience of more than 20 years in supply chain management and advanced planning and scheduling. The webinar is about how to stay competitive in the rapidly changing market. And for this webinar, the attendees are muted. And if there are any questions, you can type in the chat box, like you can see in my screen. This is the chat box. You can type in over here, and we will answer those questions during the session. So in your screen, there will be an option of chat. So you can go down there and type in your questions. For trial, maybe you can type in hi. Okay. Yes, Mr. Subramaniam, you raised your hand.
Yeah, good morning. I am from
Gestam. Yeah.
Gestam, Chennai.
Yeah, welcome to.
I just want to listen you once this webinar is over. If there is any question, I will be raising.
Yes. At that time, probably I'll unmute all of you, and then we can go ahead.
Thank you, Mr.
Ajay. Meanwhile, you all can type in your questions, and we'll take them one by one. Okay. So going ahead. So about our organization. We are an independent solution provider for smart digital transformation, as it is the need of the hour to go ahead for smart digital transformation. And ATS Global is a leading solution provider for the same area. And it is having presence in more than 25 countries with more than 30 years of experience and have served to more than 4,000 customers. We also have our own products like ATS ADAS, that is for quality management solution and intelligence. If we talk about the Sarla Advantech Private Limited, that is the subsidiary of ATS Global, and we are an independent solution provider and integrator. We are catering to our customer for more than 20 years with close to 400 employees and from more than 10 offices globally. We have delivered more than 2,500 successful projects in the last 20 plus years. And Sarla Advantech is known as ATS India. So our expertise are in this field. We are serving to our customer through our expertise and knowledge in manufacturing execution system and manufacturing operations management, automation and IT, PLM, Lean Six Sigma, supply chain management, Industry 4.0, quality management system, and advanced planning and scheduling, about which we will be dealing more in detail today. And ATS Global is a global conglomerate headquartered at Netherlands, and here you can see ATS India, which is showing Sarla Advantech Private Limited. So the problem we have in the industry, especially for automotive sector, is we have gone through the downturn in last 1 year and still we have not recovered. So we all know about the downturn of auto sector, and economy started going downwards in last year mainly. So there is an overall slowdown in the economy, and there is slowdown in passenger and commercial vehicle segment due to reduced demand, and which is affecting all major OEMs and suppliers. So there are many reasons for this downturn. It could be BS6, push to electrical vehicles by government, and increased safety standards and taxes have increased the cost. So now if we talk about the effect of this downturn, we would have observed reduced sales volume and revenue, and uh, increased FG inventory, and uncertainty between demand and supply. So if we drill it down further, we'll find the impacts of this in slowdown in production, and we have observed and heard about these all impacts, like reducing number of production days or shifts, reduction in capital good purchases, and even reduction in manpower. And expansion plan and ongoing greenfield projects are put on hold. I hope you all are also facing this kind of issues. So if you have any other issues also, you can also mention it in the chat box, and we'll also discuss about them. So if we'll basically discuss about the issues, so most Indian manufacturers face difficulty because they need to reduce the cost to survive in this market. So either they their main OEMs, if we talk about the suppliers or tier 1 and 2 companies, so their main OEMs will now demand for smaller batch sizes, and that too in more frequently. They demand shorter lead times to be able to reduce the cost of inventory. They want you to reduce cost of manufacturing, and they want you to be as flexible as possible. For most of the customers, this new reality is very difficult to handle. Most of them did not focus on being agile and flexible. In the past, they could manage the production schedule by using Excel sheets, but it's not enough anymore because you will have to deal with lots of rush orders and unexpected changes in between. So you need to eliminate manual system and which used to organize the manufacturing processes. And not only because of the great amount of manual labor is involved in that, but most of all, because there is great risk of making mistakes. And as said, manufacturing process is much more complex nowadays, and because of more number of orders, smaller batch sizes, shorter lead times, respond quickly to customer demands. So these are the main difficulties. So how and what we like to show you today is how to reduce the number of shifts without lowering the delivery performance, adhering with small batch sizes, utilizing the resource capacity fully, improve delivery performance and become capable to promise, more insights in the available capacity, reduce lead times and become more flexible, lower the stock level and raw material inventory, and that too in just in time. So this all is possible, and we can find out how to do it, and to show that how Siemens Projector can answer these questions easily and in the most effective manner. Now I would like to invite Martijn for taking us further. So
Okay, so good morning. Can you make me a presenter as well, Ajay, so that I can also switch to the software system. I'm muted or not? No, no. My name is Martijn Donkersloot, working for ATS Global, located in the Netherlands. And as Ajay already said, is that what we see within the Indian automotive industry is that the market is changing very rapidly. I believe that if you are not able to keep up with these changes, probably another supplier will. So more than ever, there is a need to differentiate against your competitors. What we believe is that one of these solutions for the mentioned complexity can be found in an advanced scheduling tool. Advanced scheduling takes into account data like sales orders, your finite capacity of your resources, your available labor, for example, but also the material availability. And it connects all these disciplines within your organization. And by sharing data about current utilization, for example, or material availability, you enable your team to make better decisions. They can operate better as a team, so to say. So it's not only one person creating schedules, it's more like a team effort. So what we see is that advanced scheduling is used by most companies as a first step in their digital transformation. Advanced scheduling is about sequencing operations and visualizing it in a Gantt chart, and it helps you to see the impact of unexpected events, and it enables you to create what we call the what-if scenarios. So you can, by the use of the system, you can compare multiple scenarios, you compare alternatives, and it will supply your planners with more insight, which they need to make smarter decisions. So instead of entering data in Excel sheets all day, your planners will now be able to compare different scenarios and choose the most effective one. Moreover, the system, the solution itself, will help you to create a much more accurate schedule. It takes into consideration all your business rules, your manufacturing constraints. So by the use of the system, your schedule will become more accurate. And let's see how that will benefit your company. So this slide is about the differences between planning and scheduling. So as you can see on the left-hand side on the chart, planning is most of the time used for the long term, while scheduling is used for what we call the short-term horizon. Most cases, planning is already covered by an ERP system, also known as material requirements planning. And once you have decided what to make, when to make, and how much to make, you also need to decide how to produce. And how to produce is typically something you can manage by a scheduling system. So a scheduling system contains much more details, much more detailed information, like capacity of the resources and manning, all kinds of constraints like operators or tools or molds you need during your process. And it can also consider, for example, your material availability. So you can align your schedule based on your purchase orders, for example. So by the use of the scheduling system, you're now able to sequence all the individual operations onto your resources, and you're able to determine the best sequence based on, for example, due dates or priority, or you can try to reduce changeover time, for example. And once you've created the schedule, the system will be able to let me go. The system will be able to publish the the schedule towards the shop floor. And the reason why we want to publish it to the shop floor is to instruct your operators. It shows them what to do today, when they expect to start and to end an individual operation. And then the feedback from the shop floor can be used to update your schedule based on actuals. So in this way, you're able to monitor the operation progress and to make adjustments if needed. So long story short, why consider a scheduling system? It's a tool that helps you to create semi-automatic schedules based on the real capacity of your plant. It will make it visible what will happen in the future, which allows you to also adjust your schedule manually if needed. And most of all, it will give you insight in the impact. So when you change something, it will give you the insight of the impact, not only for that specific order, but in this case for all orders, for all departments. So as said, you can make better decisions, and you can create alternatives, and you can decide which one you want to publish to the shop floor. So what we see within the Indian automotive industry and what we like to focus on today, their main concerns. So the first concern is that they want to increase the efficiency. We talked about the increased complexity due to the smaller batch sizes and the shorter lead times. As a result, it's very difficult to schedule all these orders in a cost-effective way. So they also want to consider how to reduce the costs of production. And due to the fact that they need to produce more orders, they also have doubts about how to gain a more controlled way of production and how to instruct their operators in a effective way. So this slide shows the what we call the Gantt chart. And here on the left-hand side, within the Gantt chart, you can see all the resources. And on the top, you can see the horizon. The gray shaded areas here in between indicates what we call the off-shift period. So in this example, we work 2 shifts per day, 7 days a week. And during the nights, the factory is closed. The red dotted area here on metal 1 is indicating a breakdown. So we assume that the metal 1 resource will be up and running at 12 o'clock this afternoon. So as you can see, we can apply maintenance activities. And within these shaded areas, there is a white spot which is called the finite capacity. So the colored bars connected by these lines presents the operations of a works order. So in this example, we need to produce several components like frames and wheels and pedal assemblies, and before we are able to final assembly the bike. And as you can see, the software respects these operational relationships. So you need to cut your tubes before you're able to weld them, before you're able to paint them. But it also connects all these individual works orders. And so we need to have all components finished before we can final assemble the bike. So this is just one sales order. If we apply this routine to all of our orders, in this case we loaded all the orders, and in this case we scheduled over 225 operations. We consider a 2 weeks horizon. As you can see, the advanced scheduling tool visualizes the current load, and you can immediately see the impact on the finite capacity of your resources. And a complete schedule, which we are going to show you in a minute, later on in this demo, a complete schedule is generated in seconds instead of most of the time hours, if you are using an Excel template for this nowadays. And as I said, it will be much more accurate than by the use of an Excel sheet. So the scheduling system is able to generate a much more precise schedule in seconds. And you will probably understand that the life of a planner will definitely change. So instead of entering data in Excel and check it line by line, they will now save a lot of time and which enables them to do what if scenarios, for example. So
Martin,
yes.
sorry to interrupt you. We have two questions.
Okay.
So one was how scheduler will manage the planned and unplanned downtime, and does it help in forward and backward scheduling both? So
okay.
We have from one of them.
Yeah. So when there is downtime, by one click you can manage to have these different shaded areas here within your Gantt chart. So downtime means that you need to know how long it will take. And once you indicated that, for example, the downtime will be a couple of hours, you can enter that into the calendar template of that specific resource. And then the schedule will automatically change accordingly. So the schedule will be adjusted based on the available capacity. That's the unplanned downtime, so breakdowns, for example. But as said, it combines multiple disciplines that I talked about, sales and operations, but also maintenance can be involved, of course. So if you think you want to maintain your resources next week, you can now have a chat with the planner to see what the impact will be on that maintenance plan. So you can create another scenario to see the impact of the planned maintenance, and you can make a set better decisions based on the input and the graphical overview of the system. Next question was about scheduling forwards and backwards. So both methodologies are used within the system. So you can schedule your work orders forwards, meaning that it will try to finish as soon as possible. And backwards means that you're able to schedule the orders starting from the due date, counting backwards to the moment in time you need to start at the latest. So especially when you do it backwards, your lead times, your make span of the order will be much shorter. So your work in process is very low. And most of the time we also see that in that case, customers want to have a specific delivery buffer to consider a buffer. So let's say that we want to schedule backwards, but we want to have a buffer so that if there is any unexpected event like a breakdown, it won't harm your delivery performance. Okay, any other questions?
Not for now, we can go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So one of the scenarios we'd like to discuss is how we could better utilize the available resource capacity and increase our efficiency. So what we see is that the benefit of using a advanced scheduling system is that you're able to reduce changeover times. And in this example, in this slide, we are able to gain more capacity by grouping orders. So most of the companies we talk to use some kind of capacity planning methodology. In most cases, they consider a specific time bucket, for example, a week, and then they try to fit the required capacity into the available capacity. So what we do here in this animation is that we load orders onto a specific resource in a specific time bucket. And as you can see, it adds up, and the colored bars is the production time, while the black area is the setup time. By the use of a scheduling system, we are able to organize this in a better way. And in this case, the preferred sequence to avoid changeover times could be that we start with the green orders and go to the red orders and then ends with the blue orders. So what we like to show you is that by the use of the advanced scheduling system, and of course this is just an animation to explain, you're able to group orders in a more efficient way to avoid changeover times. So each and every time I produce the same colored order, there's no need to change over the machines. There's no need for cleaning or changing tool sets, etc. And as you can see, this will gain a lot of capacity, in this case at least 10% for this time bucket. So this is one of the examples we are going to show you in a minute during the demo as well. This is another example. In this case, there is a sequence for one specific resource, and each colored bar presents a works order of a specific type. In this case, again, the color of the product is important, but as said before, it can be the mold you're using, it can be depending on the materials you're using. The number in the bars indicates the due dates of the orders. The number 1 should be finished on day 1, number 2 on day 2, etc., etc. And then in between these colored bars, we can see the black bars, which indicate the changeover time. So each and every time I change from one color to the other, there is a need to clean my machine, for example. So in this example, the planner needs to make a decision regarding minimizing changeovers versus the due date compliance. So the planner needs to decide, in this case, how many orders he or she will be combined to gain efficiency, and this is what we call the look ahead window. So in the first scenario, which is shown on the screen, what we can see is that the schedule span it's almost 4 days, and there are 2 jobs which will become partially late. You can see the circles around the numbers. So the next scenario is the look ahead window of 2 days. So we like to combine as much as possible of the same color for the 2 days horizon. So as you can see, the make span is smaller and there's only 1 order late. So logically, I think maybe we should combine 3 days ahead. It will be more efficient, and the make span will be shorter. And indeed it is, but as a result, in this scenario, 2 orders will be late. So the 2 pink orders will be late. So from a efficiency perspective, scenario 3 is the most efficient one. This is what we used to do in the automotive industry before the recession. But nowadays, we need to make sure that we also are able to fulfill the customer demands. So the second scenario, although it has a longer make span, I think I should prefer the second one because there is only 1 order late in this case. So this is what we call scenario planning and making better decisions based on a tool like scheduling system. So the second main concern is to reduce costs. So let's have a look at how we can help you to reduce costs. So in case there is less demand, and you will probably need less people. Okay, that's logical. So less people to operate the machines. Sometimes you can even decide to reduce the number of shifts to save money. But of course, this is only applicable if it will not harm your flexibility or will lower your delivery performance. So before you will decide to reduce the number of operators or the number of shifts, you should be able to check the consequences of this decision and find out if the orders will become late, yes or no. So if you use an Excel sheet, for example, or a manual system, there's no possibility to see the impact of this decision up front. But by the use of the advanced scheduling tool, you're able to compare different scenarios and, as said before, make better decisions. So let's focus here on one area of our plant, which is the final assembly area, where we assemble the bikes. And to do that, we need a senior operator, a senior assembly operator. So in the lower part of this graphic, you can see that there is a senior assembly operator. We have 2 available, and the blue areas is how we utilize these. So what we can see here is that these 2 assembly operators are not fully utilized. So sometimes we need 2 at the same time, but most of the time we only need 1. So here is there is an opportunity to reduce the costs of hiring the second one. So if we reduce, the next slide is where we reduce the available number into 1. As you can see, the red area now indicates that we will overload the available operator once in a while. So we give them more work than they're able to execute, because he's only 1 person now instead of 2 before. So after we reduce the number of available operators, we now need to repair our schedule. So by the use of the repair, we're able to adjust the schedule based on the available number. In this case, the 1 operator we have available. So next slide shows you that the same number of orders is now divided into the same sequence, but it only uses 1 operator at the same time. So this was before, and this is after the schedule repair. So in this case, we saved a lot of money because we don't use that second operator in this case for the next 10, 11 days. Okay, so next slide is about the it's about explaining what will happen if we decide to switch from a 2 shifts per day, 7 days per week shift pattern into a 1 shift per day, 5 days per week shift pattern. That's a drastical, that's a major change, and we like to explain what will happen. So let's focus on this specific sales order as shown before. All orders are related, and as you can see, there is a sales order involved, and we need to supply this specific order on the 18th of January. As said, this is 7 days per week, 2 shifts per day shift pattern. The next slide is about the 1 shift per day, 5 days per week shift pattern. So the exact same order is now, well, the system will stretch these orders. It takes longer to produce because there is less time per day to produce. So for this specific order, there's no issue. It will be still on time. So it will be still finished before the 18th of January. But if we apply this to all the orders seen before, we can see that a lot of orders will become late. So I'm not sure if it's feasible for everybody, but if there is red text and a red line above the bars, it will indicate that this order will become late. To make it a little bit more specific, we can change the view. And this view shows you the red area here on the right-hand side. And once the order is in the red area, it indicates it will become late. And you can also see the number of days it will become late. So in this case, in this example, orders will become late up to 26, 27 days maximum, which is not a very good result, of course. So the same schedule by the use of the template 2 shifts per day, 5 days per week. So we now we are not working during the weekends, so to say. Gives you this example, same data. So the next slide will be about the lateness, and as you can see, now only one order will become late for approximately 1 day. So imagine that you use an Excel sheet and you want to create these scenarios. Actually, it's impossible, but if you're able to, then it takes you a lot of time. But use of Projector, you can do this within seconds, which we will show you in a minute during the demo as well. So what we have seen so far is that we have created several scenarios in order to reduce the cost of production. We save money on changeovers, scheming, tool changing, that kind of stuff. We save money on assigning the second senior assembly operator, and we also reduce costs because of the we had the shift pattern where we decided not to work during the weekends. Within the reporting area, we are able to define these kinds of key performance indicators. So if you have an idea of what you like to compare, we are able to create these key performance indicators. So in this case, we compared a schedule, which is called a schedule, to the scenario 1. And as you can see, the schedule is has a shorter make span. It takes us 15 days instead of 16 days to produce all orders. As you can see, the setup time is a little bit higher, just a little bit in this case. Delivery performance is also higher, which is better, 100% delivery performance. But here you can see that the costs of the first schedule is much lower than the second one. So here you can see that you as a planner or your planner is able to earn money for you. So in this case, almost 5,000 euros. Okay, so next slide is about controlled production. So what we see is that due to the complexity of the increased complexity, so we talked about smaller batch sizes, more orders, etc., etc. There is a need for better control how to produce and how to instruct operators. So what we have seen, we didn't see everything which is mentioned here, but what you can accomplish by the use of Projector is that the schedule provides you with all kinds of insights. So you know when your materials will be delivered, which is the earliest start date for your orders. You know when you need to deliver to your customers, which is the due date. And, you know your available capacity based on the shift patterns you are going to apply. And based on that, you know in which way your resources are utilized. The system takes into consideration the operation relationships, workshop relationships, and based on different scenarios, you're going to create a operation sequence, and the expected completion time of each operation is shown within the Gantt chart. So this is the tool for the planner. After you've created a schedule, you need to set up some kind of communication with your shop floor. So it's very important to communicate the current schedule to the shop floor, the latest schedule towards the shop floor, so that every operator is aware of the jobs they need to execute. And some of you do have an MES system or an ERP system in place. So in that case, we can publish the schedule towards that system. But if you do not have a system like that, we could also use a specific report we've created to instruct the people on the shop floor. And this is the example, just an example. So this is the work list for an operator for a specific machine or a specific department. It indicates which order they need to start working on, start time, expected end time. They know that their materials will come from the Metal 2 machine, and after they finished their work, they should. The next operation is the final assembly in this case. So by the use of this digital report, it's shown on the shop floor. It's interactive. It will be updated every time you will release your schedule. So by the use of this system, with this report, you can imagine that you will save a lot of time on the shop floor, because the operators do not have to search for the orders anymore. They can simply start at the top of the list and report when they are finished. So this will give you a lot of, it will save you a lot of time, but most of all, it will create a more controlled way of working. So based on the benefits that Opcenter scheduling systems, practice systems will bring to you, of course, it's about customer service, improvement of productivity, resource utilization, but it also enables you to dedicate your bottleneck resources. You can reschedule very fast. It will reduce your work in process, raw material inventory, and most of all, it will give you more knowledge and enables you to work as a team. So logistics, production, planning, sales. We can combine all these maintenance, of course. We can combine all these areas within one system. So, of course, these figures may vary, and it's also depending on the customer previous situation. But these, well, these numbers are very common for us. So it's very beneficial to use a system like this. Okay, so next part of the presentation is about the demonstration itself. Before I will show you the demo, I'd like to explain you a little bit about the environment we are going to show you. So this is what we call a bike manufacturing plant. So it could be bikes, it could be components for brakes, it could be anything. In this case, we have a company assembly line, we have a wheel assembly line, and then there is a department where we have metal machines, welding boxes, and a painting booth. And at the end, there is a department where we do the final assembly of the components. And we draw the different items here in a flow. So, for example, when we are going to create a bike, we need a frame. And before we are going to assemble the frame, we need to cut tubes, as you can see here, on metal machines. We need to weld them, and then we can paint them. And the same counts for the wheel. Before we are going to create a wheel, we need to assemble the hub and the rim, and together with the spokes and the tires, which are purchased items, we can create a wheel. So after we've created the wheel, the frame, the pedal-sheath, and we are able to assemble the bike. So this is what we like to show you by the use of the system. So this is the starting screen. Is it visible for you, Ajay? I changed windows.
Yes, it's visible for me.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so this is the first screen, and as you can see, Projector is designed to import data from different systems. So here we are able to import data from your ERP system or any other data source. And you do it mostly once a day, sometimes multiple times a day. So you will import your new purchase orders, sales orders, if available, works orders, updates from the shop floor, that kind of stuff. And the information, once it's imported, you're able to generate your schedule, which we're going to do within a second. And after you've generated the schedule, you're going to release your schedule. And releasing your schedule means that you're going to publish your schedule towards the shop floor. So this is one example of the user tool. What we see here is that we divided this area, this screen into 3 areas. For this demo, I only use one laptop. So what we see is that most planners do have multiple screens on their desk, and then they are able to divide these windows among those monitors, for example. So in this case, there is an editor window, gives you information about all the orders created by Projector or imported from your ERP system. There is a option here to sort and filter on all this information. You can define yourself what kind of information you like to display here. You can add more or less icons or columns. You can change the sorting order, etc., etc. So then here on the lower part, this is what we call the overview window, and this is what we call the Gen chart. So on the left-hand side, we see the resources, and here we can see the horizon. As said, you can define your calendar templates, and here you can see that there is an off-shift period during the night. So we work during 2 shifts in the day shift, and in the night the factory is closed. And here you can see that there is a breakdown involved on metal 1. What we can see as well here is that there is all kinds of materials coming in. So these are your purchase orders. You are going to receive your pedal cranks and your tubes, etc., in the future. And then here we can see that there is a lot of information available about the sales orders. So this is what we talked about, combining multiple disciplines. So logistics, maintenance, planning, sales, all together within one screen. So on the right-hand side, we can see the unscheduled operations. I said that we have 225 unscheduled operations. And again, I decided myself which columns. I chose the columns myself here. The color of the items, the color of the icons, we also decided ourselves. And we are going to explain you in a minute how we manage that. So in this case, the color of the product is chosen, but we can also choose any other methodology. So in this case, operation progress, for example, or material shortages or priority. So you can choose yourself what kind of colors you like to apply. So let's zoom in a little bit. I use my control and mouse wheel to do that. And here you can, for example, see that there's this display, and again, the content is something you can decide yourself how to manage that. So now we are able to drag and drop this operation onto the Gen chart. As you can see, you're not able to use company assembly lines to cut tubes, but you can cut tubes on a metal machine. The welding, for example, is only available for welding 1 or welding 2, but you cannot weld on a painting line. Okay, so Projector knows what we call the valid resources. And painting can be done on painting. So here you can see that Projector connects these works orders together, so it knows the relationship. And if you like, you can do it completely manually. Most of the time, people don't like to do things manually, so they like to do it in a more more automatic way, for example. So for that reason, there is also an option here to say place on plan forward all operations. And now you can see that Project automatically schedules these orders on the right resources and takes into account final capacity of resources. It also takes into account the material availability. So what we can see here is that there is a gap in between metal 1 resource. There is available capacity here, but we have to schedule this order here. And the reason why is that the materials will be coming in here. So in this case, if you drag and drop this operation to the left-hand side, you can immediately see that there is a red dotted line here and that the green text, green bar is above the bar, indicating that you are scheduling your order too early. So you made a mistake and the system is warning you about the mistake you're going to make. So these operations are only taking in consideration the frame making, so painting, welding, cutting, welding and painting in this case. What we see here is that there is also changeover time involved. So painting of the same color does not make any changeover, but when you change from one color to the other, then there is changeover. So Projector automatically calculates these changeover times, as you can see here, based on the sequence of your orders. Okay, so as said before, there's a need for more than just a frame. So let's have a look and let's highlight in this case all related operations for this specific bike. What we see now is that Projector will automatically schedule this order in a way we've seen in the demo presentation as well. So it takes into consideration your material availability, your operation relationship, order relationship, and it will also indicate if an order will be late, yes or no. So if we postpone this order manually by dragging and dropping it a little bit to the right-hand side, you can see here that if we do so, this order will indicate red, so it will become late. So this is the forward schedule. As said, there is also a possibility to do a backward schedule. So let's have a look at the backward schedule as well. So the same set of orders here. As you can see now, Projector indicates that you should start at the latest here to finish your order just in time for delivery to your customer. So having said this, and hopefully proving you that Projector is able to create accurate schedules semi-automatic, we now like to schedule all these 225 unscheduled operations at once. What we like to do is we like to apply a forward schedule, and we like to do that based on the priority of the order. So the highest priority order will be scheduled first, and lower priority orders will be scheduled afterwards. So when I click here on this button or press F10 on my keyboard, Projector will automatically schedule all your orders within 2 seconds. And this is a valid schedule. So this took into consideration every business rule we talked about, including tool availability, manning, etc., etc. So the question is if this is the right schedule. So that's why we like to talk about scenario scheduling. So first of all, I want to save a copy of this one. This schedule I like to call priority schedule. So it's based on the priority of the orders. And I can already see that some orders will be late. As you can see here, there is a red order, red text here, red text here. There is an option here to also highlight orders which become late. So these are very handy when you want to manage the exceptions only. So for now, because of the time, I like to schedule another schedule. I don't want to take into account the priority of the order anymore. I now want to take in consideration the due dates of the order. So same schedule, takes me 2 seconds again to create a schedule. I like to save this schedule, call it due date, and the second scenario has been created. So now I like to compare these two schedules, and we have seen in the presentation that there is an option to use KPI reports for that. So I want to compare my priority schedule based on the due date. So the priority schedule is, as you can see on all these crosses, it's less efficient. So it takes me longer to make. Setup time is higher. Costs is higher. So in this case, it's a no-brainer. Which schedule you like to publish to the shop floor. But there is also an option, as said before, to increase the efficiency. So each and every time I change from one kind of the metal machines, I need to change over my tool sets. There is a need for changeover the painting booth because of the color we use. So let's have a look at the color of the bars, and let's change the color of the bars into the color of the product I'm going to produce, to have a look at the reduction of changeover times. So and I like to create a schedule based on what we call the weighted orders. So in this case, I like to add more priority to the color of the product. So I like to sort all products of the same color as much as possible. So before we do that, we like to zoom into metal 1, for example. So we now focus on only metal 1, and we schedule the same set of orders once more. And what we see here is that, for example, on metal 1, we can see that Projector tries to combine as much as possible orders of the same color. So the yellow bikes are produced first, then the green bikes, then the blue bikes, and then the red bikes. But in between the red bikes, there is one yellow bike. And the reason why this one is here is because of the material availability. Because if I try to schedule it before the delivery date of this specific sales the purchase order, you can see immediately that there is a red dotted line here, green bar, green text. So in this case, there is no possibility to schedule it in between the other yellow ones because the materials are not available. So although I change the sequence, Projector always creates a valid schedule, a feasible schedule for you. Okay, so have a look at the all the resources again instead of just the metal, and let's save this schedule. Create a copy. This is the color ranked schedule. For those who paid attention, there is also an option here to set weights on multiple criteria. So yes, it's very important for me to create efficiency and combine as much as possible colors, but due date performance is also important. So I want to combine these two, and I want to switch these criteria to the max, create another scenario, and save this scenario as a copy. Sorry, save copy. And this is the due date and color ranked scenario saved. So once again in the reports area, let's have a look at the KPI. It's already there. So I now want to combine, need to refresh, sorry for that, KPIs. So I now want to see the differences between my due date, for example, and due date and color. And as you can imagine, this will give you a very powerful tool. So the due dates and the due dates color ranked scenarios are almost the same in terms of the make span. Due date performance has a higher setup time. The delivery performance is exactly the same, and the cost is slightly higher. So what we like to show you is that you're now able to create multiple scenarios within a couple of seconds. You're able to compare them. You can ask someone else to make a decision if needed based on these kinds of criteria. So in this case, there is an option to make a better decision as a team, to reduce your costs and to get into a controlled way of work. So we're 5 minutes over time. Sorry for that. I'm not sure if there are any questions. If so, then please let me know.
Yeah, Martin, we got a question from one of the participants. Is there any option on quality related in it? So
quality related, I could not understand the question. Can you?
So is there any option for related to quality or quality measurements or like that? So I just want to update this. So there is no such option for quality, but there are options to maintain the sequence, like for your colors, product colors, or those kind of things can be managed. Like if you want to maintain the colors altogether, this tool is only for scheduling and advanced scheduling.
Yeah, well, there is a relationship with quality in this. So what we do is we try to predict the future, but the actual situation, of course, is also very important. So if we get information, feedback from the shop floor about quality, let's say there is scrap or this machine does not work properly, that will be that's input for the system to adjust your schedule. So, for example, when this product does not produce that well on this machine, then we can, for example, lower the efficiency, or we can increase the number of products we need to produce based on the scraps, or we can update the schedule based on the actuals. So we don't measure the quality by the use of this system, but the input is very relevant for your schedule to update the schedule based on.
Or in other words, or in other words, we can say if there is a quality operation, say inspection or assembly, final inspection, so those operations can be scheduled based on the time taken on ideal case. So
yeah. Yes, especially when it's when you want to schedule it, it's one of these colored bars here. So then the quality department is also instructed on the sequence, so that what kind of their work list is also generated by the system. Indeed, yeah.
Yeah, and another question we got it from one of the user is, can it be integrated with the ERP system?
Yes, of course. So the system itself it's meant to be integrated with other systems. So as you can imagine, you're not going to enter data in the system manually, for example, for purchase orders or stock files or sales orders. So these are that kind of information is most of the time interfaced with the ERP system. So available stock, purchased orders, and sales orders. For those who use an ERP system that is able to generate works orders, we can also import these works orders. If you do not have a system that is able to create works orders, then we can maintain the routing within Projektor and then Praxis is able to create these work orders for you. So there's always what we call a hybrid interface. So sometimes you use every information available within the ERP system. Sometimes you don't have an ERP system and you need to use it as a standalone system. But most of the time we import data from an ERP system. We enrich the data during the import. For example, if you don't have a routing, we can expand the routing during the imports of your sales orders, and then you're going to create your schedule by the use of the system. If you do have a ERP system which includes shop floor control, or if you have an MES system, then the output of this system will be pushed forwards to your ERP or MES system. And for those who do not have a system like that, we can use these reports we've shown before. There's no need for interfacing with just one data source because you can combine information. So we can connect to an Excel, access different databases, and we can gather all the information by the use of the interfacing methodology, which is all very nice to mention. The interfacing methodology is shipped within the software. So it's actually a user tool. It's very easy to use, and if you like, you can create your own interfaces by the use of this interfacing tool. Okay.
Okay, okay, Martin. So there was another small question about how we can take data from shop floor machines. So it's slightly different than what we are showing. So Mr. Murugesan, for this I will contact you separately. And now I would like to unmute the attendees if anyone is having any other question. Yeah. I think
I think there are no questions. So maybe we can conclude that.
or it looks like
maybe you should unmute.
so. It looks like we are trying to speak together and speakers are on for many people. So let's do it in another way. So whatever questions you have, you can send it to us through mail and we will be reaching you. And I think for most of the questions which has been asked in the webinar, we have answered. And for Mr. Murugesan, we will contact you separately as well for the remaining questions.
Yeah, and if there is a need for a specific demo.
Thank you everyone for your time and patience. We overshot it, and thanks a lot for all your help and time.
Thank you.
Thank you.